to the front of the field. Bjørgen Veng make it a 1-2-3 for Norway in the early stages, but no problems if you're a fan of Justina Kowalczyk. She's sitting in 5th place at the moment, 1.2 seconds down, but very much Norwegian domination in the top 10. Nice to see Nicole Fessel, who went for a break on the outside. She's gone from 36th all the way up into 9th position, and I just wonder how much that's taken out of her as they start the first big climb.
Well, Fessel, well, she has dropped back a little bit. She's still in that front 10. And of course, Patrick, it's not this rotation of 3.3, but the next time where they can sprint and pick up those precious 15, 10 and 5 for the first 3.
Yeah, they could be valuable for Marit Bjørgen, and she might have said, right, I'm going to stay at the front until that stage. This is a part of the course that Kowalczyk will not enjoy. It's very, very fast, technical skiing, and I wonder whether the Norwegians have decided that that is the place to try and make the breakaway from the pole, who will not be comfortable on these tracks. She'll love the climbing, but she will not like the descents, and this is where the hard work starts. Marit Bjørgen out front, Therese Johaug right on her heels where she's been for much of this season.
This could be an opportunity for Kowalczyk. We can just see her on the right-hand column, just to get into her rhythm. She's been a little tense. She's always been running up the hills. Now she just needs to relax and use that amazing engine of hers. There she goes.
What do you think the difference is in technique between Bjørgen and Kowalczyk?
Well, Bjørgen, for me, she keeps it more compact. She's got a faster tempo. Kowalczyk has a more rangy, a longer reach. And technically, I think for me, the visual of it is that Bjørgen's slightly more efficient.
They both seem to have the same degree of forward lean of the upper body, and I think with Marit Bjørgen, who tends to go slightly lighter on the wax than Kowalczyk, it means that Bjørgen slips a little bit more than Kowalczyk does, and Kowalczyk really just switches into running mode on the uphill and uses that great upper body strength of hers as well.
Yeah, that is the one aspect, and we've seen it so often this year with Kowalczyk. If she needs to pick up the pace, she'll just run on her skis. It's a lot of energy rather than sliding like Sarin in their bib 41, sliding the feet through from the hips. It's very efficient.
Well, look at the crowds that have turned out for the weekend, and they will be even bigger tomorrow to wait and see who wins the mini tour, who wraps up the men's World Cup. Of course, just about everything in the women's is decided. Keegan Randall's run away with the sprint title for the 2nd year in succession, and we've got Kowalczyk, who's got another bag full of prizes. Quite difficult to argue who's had the better season, Kowalczyk or Bjørgen. Bjørgen, of course, dominant at the World Championships. She missed 18 races. Do you ever get the bottom of the heart problems?
But the heart, it was just an irregular, a very, very high heartbeat. I know that she's not big on coffee. Sometimes if you drink a lot of coffee, it can set. But it was Christmas Eve, and she did get taken to hospital. And she'd done 2 sessions on that day, training. And I don't know, they were very careful with her after that. And I think that was a safe thing to do. Yeah,
you can get a thing that I think is called PSVT, which means that the ventricles are creating the pulse, and it can go up to 220, 230, cause all sorts of problems, but it loses its efficiency as well. And I think they were quite right. As soon as there was a sign of problems, they pulled Bjørgen out of the ski suit, shoved her straight into the hospital. She had every test possible, and they kept her away from the Tour de Ski.
I think that is that was so sensible. And you know, when you look at what Bjørgen did at the World Champs, she won 4 gold, 1 silver. Oh, bad place to fall, unnecessary to fall there.
Number 33, I thought for a nasty moment it was number 13, but it was actually Geitnes of Norway who went down tying, I think, with Pajala of Sweden, number 19. So they go right to the back of the pack, and they will not get near the front for the rest of this race. 3.3 kilometers completed, and now they have to start thinking about winding up for the first sprint event. And for Kowalczyk and Bjørgen, it is crucially important that they're in a position to challenge for those 15-second bonus points.
And that's now the strategy is going, right, I need to get a gain leading up, and it's still 2.3 kilometers from here, Patrick, so there's a lot of tough terrain to come. Needs a ski pole. Geitnes when she fell.
43 just going through, that's Valentina Shevchenko. Well, this is the turning point after the completion of the first lap. We just get a replay. I'm not sure whose fault that was. I think that was one pole planted inside another ski. It's an easy way to go down, and I suspect that it was Heitness's pole that was in between Pajala's skis.
Well, I tell you what, Patrick, for the Norwegian team who have so many staff out at this venue, I'm amazed that Heitness has had to ski, what, 800 meters to pick up a spare ski pole. That's cost her quite a margin of time and frustration. I heard her shouting, screaming for a spare pole.
Now, if Kowalczyk wins this mini sprint at the top of the climb, she will get the 15. But if Bjørgen is in second place, she will get 10 seconds. So only 5 seconds lost effectively. But I think we're going to see an almighty effort from Kowalczyk to secure this. And then perhaps on the last lap, she'll try and get 10, 15 seconds clear. Looking over her shoulder just to see who she's got for company. She will have known that she had 3 Norwegians, because you can't help but pick out the lower part of the suit. She just wanted to check or hope that Bjørgen wasn't one of them.
And if it's not to be, Bjørgen is going to latch onto her. I was saying earlier, of course, Bjørgen 4 gold, 1 silver at the World Championships, and Kowalczyk only 1 silver out of her 5 races. And I think that's with Bjørgen resting and taking so much time out of the World Cup season. She's now still strong from that.
Yeah, Bjørgen wins on the countback of World Cup wins as well. So I think most people would have her as the best ever at the moment, but the title certainly would go to one of these two. Elena Velber would be the other contender for the title of best ever female cross-country skier. Lots of toing and froing at the front of the field. Nice to see Ishida making a concerted effort. Masako Ishida wearing number 31. Quite easy to pick out in the magenta suit of Japan. And what a fantastic season she's had. And so much harder for Ishida because she doesn't have the backup that the Norwegians and Kowalczyk have.
It's a huge point, isn't it? We know now that Kowalczyk has some absolutely brilliant waxing specialists from Estonia waxing her skis. The Norwegians we know about, they invest so much money. And Ishida, well, fifth last week in Oslo in the 30-kilometre and 4th at La Clusaz in the 10-kilometre classic. She's good.
The leading 4 are all in the top 5 of the overall World Cup standings. The only one missing is Keegan Randall of USA, who's got most of her points from some brilliant sprinting this year. But we do have Kowalczyk out in front. Therese Johaug nearest the camera. Marit Bjørgen tracking Kowalczyk step for step, just as she promised to do. And at the back of this group, the youngest of all is Heidi Weng of Norway, who has had a really good season. She was 10th in the World Cup last year. She's gone up to 5th this year. Is she going to be challenging for the title next year?
Ah, she's so good, Patrick. She's so good. And looking at Therese Johaug, she's altered her technique there. She's getting much more glide. Normally it's just this staccato, tempo. But she was very efficient gliding up this climb, this long, difficult climb.
Yulia Shikalova has moved up into 5th position, just some 25 meters adrift of this group, and the bonus seconds are certainly going to go to some of this group. I wonder whether there will be any team orders for the Norwegians, because they wouldn't really want Therese Johaug to steal 10 bonus seconds away from Marit Bjørgen.
I doubt there will, but it is interesting. What will the team plans be? I think it's every man or every woman for themselves.
Well, the work at the front has really split the group. First time round, they were all through this point in the space of 25 seconds. You can see the damage that's been done, and it's really happened since they went round the turn in the stadium. And there are some very, very tired figures out there. Number 26 is Denise Herrmann of Germany, who's looking a spent force at the moment. And we'll have to hope that she gets a second wind as she descends back down into the stadium to prepare for the last 3-kilometre lap. There are the standings at 4.7. Johaug, Kowalczyk, Bjørgen, Weng, and nothing really between those 4. What a fascinating final lap this is going to be, Mike. Do you think the Polish team will be slightly disappointed that Kowalczyk hasn't managed to open up 10, 15 seconds?
I think they will. This is they're trying to pull, what was it, 17 seconds back, and well, it hasn't happened yet.
Now, just a reminder, if Kowalczyk doesn't get a long way clear, she will start behind Bjørgen tomorrow. Facing up, or leading the chase group. Desperately sad news about the other Jakobsen in the ski jumping World Cup. You might have seen his accident yesterday, and I suspect he's going to be out of action for a few months with, I believe, is it both cruciates that have gone?
I think it was just on his right leg, I think it was, where the ski rotated right round.
Yeah, the ACL certainly gone. I'm not sure whether the PCL has gone in that right knee as well. But we wish him well, and I'm sure he's getting the best medical care. Talking about injuries with cross-country skiing, they are pretty rare.
They are. I mean, there's the odd fall that creates an injury. Of course, Len Valias, the Canadian, he busted some fingers. In fact, he did that playing football. So it is rare that they get injuries. Back injuries, though, are the main thing on the double pole. And Kowalczyk now needs to do something, and she's making the initial little break here.
Yeah, I think this was a concerted effort. She's certainly upped the work rate. I'm not saying she's been resting in the group, but I think maybe the pre-race plan was to go for it on the last lap. 3.3 kilometers to go. How much time can Kowalczyk claw back, if any, on this last lap? A big gap between 4 and 5 of something like 23 seconds. So Jakobsen is going to have to work absolutely flat out if she wants to get back on terms. Kalla, Kiloinen, 9 and 10. Zeller and Falla, 11, 12. De Martin Tropenin of Italy in 13th at the moment, still ahead of some very big names. Lartenmäki, Saarinen, Osberg, Haag of Sweden in 17th. Aurogien of France, who's been one of the highlights of the season. Nice to see her representing France, but certainly going up the rankings. She was 38th last year. She's lying in 18th in the World Cup standings this year.
And of course, her second place on the Olympic tracks in the sprint race. I think that's great news for the French team, and that's got to lift her spirits, because that is one difficult course at Sochi for the Olympic Games. Well done, Kowalczyk. She's making that little gap. They're probably thinking, or Bjørgen thinking, well, we know we can pull time back on her on the downhills, on the descents.
Do you think Kowalczyk held back on the sprint for the intermediate points? Certainly, we've seen in the past that you only have one really good sprint, and you can really ruin the rest of your race if you go too hard for 15 bonus seconds. Kowalczyk, though, is going to have to work very hard. She's going to have to keep this going if she wants to claw back the 10 seconds that she lost to Therese Johaug. The way things are going at the moment, it looks good.
This is looking great. I think that Kowalczyk, she wanted those points, I think, so much, but she just lost a lot of time on the technical section leading into that, and now she's trying to make up for it, destroy Bjørgen or get 15 seconds back. I'm not sure she will, but she will pick up 15 for the win if she can hang on to first place.
And of course, she'll get the margin that she is ahead of the Norwegians. At the moment, it stands at around 4 seconds, but we still have the downhill technical section to come, and Bjørgen could close the gap a little. She's still there. She's
pulled, certainly 2 seconds, 1.5, 2 seconds back on that little descent.
And Heidi Weng has come back to life with the appearance of Therese Johaug. But those two now some 40 meters adrift of Justyna Kowalczyk, who would like this course to be 100% uphill. Again, she looks over the shoulder, and she'll be disappointed to see that Marit Bjørgen is still there, and Marit Bjørgen is closing. She's really quick on the flat sections, the Norwegian.
So strong. Her upper body is so strong. We saw that in the final stages of yesterday's time trial. The rest of the field, Patrick, though, that is a huge margin, 27 seconds now. I really thought